Vinicius Junior might be benched at Real Madrid. And no, it is not because he is a bad player. In fact, that is what makes this situation so shocking. We are talking about one of the most explosive and dangerous attackers in world football today, a player who has delivered in big moments, a player who has carried the attack in difficult games, and a player who many fans see as the face of the club's future. So how does someone like that even enter the conversation of being benched? To understand this, we need to go back to where it all started. When Vinicius Junior first arrived at Real Madrid, he was raw, very raw. He had incredible pace, amazing dribbling ability, and confidence, but his finishing and decision-making were heavily criticized. Many people doubted him. Some even believed he would never reach the level expected at a club like Real Madrid. But over time, he improved. Season after season, he worked on his weaknesses. His finishing became better. His decision-making improved. His confidence grew. And then he started delivering in the biggest moments. Champions League nights, important league games, high-pressure situations. He became a player defenders feared. At one point, Vinicius was not just important, he was essential. Real Madrid's attack often depended on him creating something out of nothing. His ability to take on defenders, stretch the pitch, and create chaos made him one of the most valuable players in the team. So again, what changed? The answer is simple, but also complex. Real Madrid is evolving. This is a club that never stays the same. From the era of Cristiano Ronaldo to the midfield dominance of Luka Modric and Toni Kroos, every generation has its own identity. And now a new identity is forming. The arrival of Jude Bellingham has changed everything. He is not a traditional midfielder. He moves forward, attacks spaces, scores goals, and becomes a central figure in the team. Because of this, the way Real Madrid plays is shifting. The team is becoming more compact, more focused through the middle, and less dependent on traditional wingers. And this is where the problem begins for Vinicius Junior. Vinicius thrives in wide spaces. He needs room to run, space to isolate defenders, and freedom to express himself. That is where he is at his best. But in a more compact system, those spaces are reduced. The game becomes tighter, more structured, and less open. This does not mean Vinicius is playing badly. It simply means the system is not always designed to maximize his strengths. And in modern football, the system can be more important than the individual. This brings us to a harsh reality. Sometimes the better player doesn't start. The player who fits the system does. At a club like Real Madrid, coaches make decisions based on tactics, not emotions. They look at the opponent, the structure of the team, and the balance needed to win the game. There will be matches where the team needs more control in midfield, more defensive discipline, or a different attacking approach. In those moments, a player like Vinicius might not be the perfect fit from the start. That does not make him worse than anyone else. It just means the plan for that specific match requires something different. Another important factor is competition. At Real Madrid, no position is guaranteed. Every player is under pressure to perform. There are always teammates pushing for opportunities, always tactical variations the coach can use, and always new ideas being tested. Even a superstar has to adapt. And then there is the mental side of the game. Vinicius Junior plays with a lot of emotion. That's part of what makes him special. His passion, his energy, his confidence. But sometimes that emotion can also lead to frustration. When things are not going well, it can affect his decisions on the pitch. At the highest level, small details matter. Focus, discipline, and tactical awareness are crucial. If a coach feels a player is not fully aligned with the game plan, even temporarily, that player might be rested or benched. Not as punishment, but as a strategic decision. Then comes the media. The moment there is even a small hint that a player like Vinicius could be benched, the headlines explode. Stories spread quickly. People start asking questions. Is he declining? Is there a problem? Is something wrong behind the scenes? But the reality is often much simpler. Football decisions are complex, and they are not always about drama. Sometimes it is just about tactics, balance, and adaptation. So what is the real truth? Vinicius Junior is still one of the best players in the world. That hasn't changed. What has changed is Real Madrid. The system is evolving. The team is transitioning. New players are taking central roles, and the style of play is shifting. In that process, every player has to adapt, even the biggest stars. So the real question is not whether Vinicius will be benched. The real question is whether he can evolve with this new version of Real Madrid.
because if he adapts, he becomes even more dangerous and complete as a player. But if he struggles to fit into the system, then we might start seeing decisions that once felt impossible. And that is what makes this situation so interesting. So now I want to hear